joiners. I'm Miss Carise. I will be taking you mathematics O-level. So our topic for today is indices and logarithms. Right. So on indices and logarithms, after this lesson, you should be able to apply the laws of indices, solve the equations that involve laws of indices, that we call them exponential equations. Number 3, you should be able to apply the basic laws of logarithms as well as to appreciate the relationship between indices and logarithms. So we shall start with the laws of indices. Right. So on laws of indices, suppose we have a number like x to the power b. Here our x is the base, our b is the index. So indices is the plural of index. You can call it power or exponent. Right. So this is the structure of a number which is in index form. You can have a number like x to the power 2. What does that mean? It means that x is being multiplied by itself twice. So it's x times x. If it is 2 to the power 3, it means 2 is being multiplied by itself thrice. 2 times 2 times 2. And the answer is 8. So 2 cubed means 8. Right. So we are going to start with law number 1. Law number 1, it states that whenever you multiply numbers of the same base, you simply return the base and add the powers. Here, numbers of the same base are multiplying. So you return the base. Remember, our base is x. So you return the base and add the powers. For example, you can have x to the power 3 times x to the power 2 times x to the power 1. Here, you simply return the base and add the powers. So our answer here is x to the power 6. That's law number 1. Let's move on to law number 2. It states that whenever you divide numbers of the same base, you simply return the base and subtract the powers. So here you return the base and subtract the powers. For example, you can have 10 to the power 3 divided by 10 to the power 1. So you simply return the base. Our base here is 10. So you return the base and subtract the powers. So here our answer is 10 to the power 2. And 10 to the power 2 is 100. Right. Let's move on to law number 3. Law number 3, it states that any number raised to the power 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power 0 is 1. Whether it's minus 50 to the power 0, the answer is 1. Whether it's 99, if it is to the power 0, the answer is 1. Now we move on to law number 4. Law number 4, it states that whenever a number is being raised to a negative power, you have to introduce a fraction whereby 1 is the numerator. So here, the process of introducing a fraction here is to remove the negative sign. For example, if we have a number like 10 to the power negative 2, for you to simplify it, You have to remove the negative sign on the power. How? By introducing a fraction, and it becomes 1 over 10 to the power 2. Now you can simplify without a negative power. So here our answer becomes 1 over 100. Let's move on to law number 5. Law number 5, it states that whenever a number is being raised to a certain power and another power is also being raised to that number, for example, x to the power a bracket b. This means that we have to simplify, to multiply the powers, like x to the power a times b, and your answer becomes x to the power a b. For example, if it is 2 to the power 3 being raised to another power, let's say 2. Here you have to multiply the powers and return the base. So here it becomes 2 to the power 3 times 2. And our answer here is 2 to the power 6. Let's move on to law number 6. Law number 6, it states that whenever the number is being raised to a fractional power, like x to the power a over b. Here, x is the base. It is the number that we are dealing with. B is the root. A is the power. So it becomes the bth root of x to the power a. For example, if it is 8 to the power 2/3, it means we are going to find the cube root of 8 to the power 2. And we all know that the cube root of 8 is 2 being raised to the power 2. And our answer is 4. We are continuing with our topic, indices and logarithms. And previously, we were talking about the 6 basic laws of indices. Now we want to look at some of the questions that usually challenge most of our learners. Suppose we have a number like 8 divided by 27 to the power negative 2/3. Here our number is a fraction, and the power is a negative fraction. How can we deal with that? Remember, on a law number 4, it states that whenever a number is being raised to a negative power, like x to the power negative 1, we said the law states that 1 over x to the power 1. That's how we simplify such expressions. So, same applies here. We have a negative power. So here we introduce 1 in order to remove this negative power. So now we retain our expression 8 over 27 to the power 2/3. Now our denominator, it doesn't have a negative sign. Now we can simplify it. It becomes 1 over. Here it means if a number is a fraction and it is being raised to a certain power, it means the numerator is being affected by the power, as well as the denominator is also being affected. So here it means 8 is being raised to the power 2/3, and 27 on its own is also being raised to the power 2/3. Now we can simplify it. It becomes 1 over. Here, remember our law number 6, It states that if a number is being raised to a fractional power, our denominator of the power is the root. So here we want to look at the cube root of 8 being raised to the power 2 over the cube root of 27 being raised to the power 2. And we come here and write cube root of 8 here is 2 being raised to the power 2. And the cube root of 27 is 3 being raised to the power 2. And our answer here, it becomes 1 over 4 over 9. But can we leave our answer there? We can simplify it further. So this implies that 1 is divided by 4 over 9. So we can invert this fraction and it becomes 1 times 9 over 4. And our answer becomes 9 over 4. But there is also a shorter way to simplify this kind of expression. Remember, our question was 8 over 27 being raised to the power negative 2/3. If we have a number like this, 27 over 8 being raised to a fraction like 2/3, here 27 is being affected by our power, and 8 also is being affected by our power. So here 27 is being raised to the power 2/3 over 8 being affected by our power as well. So here we want to find the cube root of 27 to the power 2 over the cube root of 8 to the power 2. So our cube root of 27 is 3 to the power 2 over 2 to the power 2. And the answer is 9 over 4. Our answers are the same but different ways. So this way is a bit shorter than that way, but you can choose what you want. Okay, let's move on to another question that usually challenges most of our learners. We have a question like 4a squared being raised to the power 3. Right. So here, since